Okay, the topic that we will discuss in today's session is regarding the data type. So what we mean by data types that obviously that is specify us the different sizes and the value that we can in which a particular variable can be stored. So we can say that data types what is the data type that will tell us the type of that particular data that we are using. Okay, so we can see that each and every data type will be having some unique value, and also it will be having some particular size also. So the variation of their sizes can help us to distinguish between that what type of a data, what type of a data that we are using. So in this case of Java, we basically use two types of a data types. One is the primitive data types, and another one is the non-primitive data types. So primitive data types may include, that is basically we can define, like we are having total 8 primitive data types. So that can be easily visible on your screen, that we are having boolean, char, byte, short, int, long, float, and the double part. So we can say that the primitive data types are those data types that are the basic data types that we can have. Fine. So these are some of the basic data types that we can also define as a primitive data type. Second thing is that is a non-primitive data type. So non-primitive data types, these are those that we are that are user defined. Okay, that we use for our own particular purpose. So in that case, we define this non-primitive data types. So it may include your classes, interfaces, and your arrays function. Fine. So this is your non-primitive data type that we can have, that may include classes, interfaces, and the arrays part. So in this basically Java primitive data types, these are the basic building blocks of the data manipulation. So most of the basic data types are available in Java language. So like we are having Boolean data type is there, byte, char, short, integer, long, float, and the double quotient. So we can define all these data types with some particular value and some sizes also there. Okay, so default value is any value that when we don't when we don't allocate any particular value, so by default some value will be given to that particular data type. Okay, so that particular value will be given to that variable which is being defined by some particular data type. So like we are having boolean, that is the false, the default value is false and its default size is 1 bit. Similarly, we have this char value. Okay, data type is there that will be having this type of a default value, which is defined uniform. We will be discussing this particular K data type that is somehow different in this language, that is Java. So we will have discussion after the completion of this particular PPT, that what this U represent and why in case of Java, char is having some different default value for this character, and its size also is somehow different, that is 2 byte. Okay, similarly, we have a byte also, and we can define its value with 0, and its default size is 1 byte. Similarly, for short, 0, 2 byte, and integer, we are having, we don't have any default value, but its default size will be 4 byte. Next is your, that is a log, and we are also having some default value, that is 0L. And in this case, we are having this 8 byte is there. And float for, again, we are having 0.0, that is F, F will be defining the float value, and here L will be defining the long value. And same case goes for the double also, that is 0.0 T. Clear? So these are some of the default values, and the sizes are given to us, that we are defining for the inbuilt data types or the primitive data types that we are having. Or we can also define that these are the basic data types that a Java language could have. Okay, now the question is that why char uses 2 byte in Java, and what is this, that is U and this 4 zeros are there. It is because Java uses a Unicode system. So if you remember that in your previous languages like C, C++, we prefer that a straight code system. Okay, but in case of Java, we prefer a Unicode system. That's why, so we are using this U, and this is the lowest range of the Unicode system. So this is a lowest range, so that's why we have given it as a default value. Fine. Now the question arises that why we use a Unicode system in case of a Java? Because this Sky code system will be having some limited set of these characters, but then similarly we have another varieties of also there are many language standards are there, like we are having a Sky code is there, so that is American Standard Code for Information Interchange, and similarly we have ISO, that is for Western European language, and this is the some different standard that we got in Russian. And similarly there are so many different language standards are there that may depends on some particular country, that may depends on some particular language. Okay, so Unicode is basically a universal international standard character encoding that is capable of representing most of the world's written language. So what we have done that in the case of this language era, we have developed a, we can say that our individual Unicode system is there. We have developed a particular unique code system, that is Unicode system, that will be containing most of the character set that is available in all these all these different language standards. So we are not limited to all this language standard. We may also have some other different language standards also. Okay, so what Unicode is using, that it is using a complete system set, complete, we can say the character set is available. Either that particular character set belongs to this Sky or it belongs to this ISO. So that's why we have preferred using the Unicode system. So actually what was the basic problem, that if like you can see from this particular PPT that these are some of the languages that standards that we use for the computer part, that are based on some company based on countries also, like Western European. For Russian we have a different language, for this Chinese we have a different language. So there was a problem that when we develop some particular code, so it responds differently letters in the different languages. So encoding of all those languages with the large character set have variable length also. So some of the language common characters may be encoded as a single byte and other may have two or more bytes. So in order to solve out all this particular problem, we developed this system of this Unicode system. Okay, so in order to develop this particular system part, we have developed, we can say that we have developed this particular Unicode system. So like in Unicode system, character holds 2 bytes. So that's why Java also uses a 2-byte character. And it is also having some this lowest value is there. Like we can have that is we can say that /u, and that is 4 zeros are available, and the highest value will be like this, that is #u, and 4 times f will be iterative. Fine. So this is a case that why we prefer Unicode system. So this how this particular feature of this Java, that in the case of a Java, so our character system is that our Java is following that Unicode system. So that's why the character holds 2 bytes. So Java also is using the 2 byte for the character. Fine. So this was all about that. We can say that data types that we can have. So I think you are very much clear about all these data types that we have already discussed so many times in the different languages. So now we can say that now there is another method of, that is a type conversions. So what we mean by a type conversion? So obviously when we are working on a different types of a data, so there could be some issue that we need to match all those data types. Okay, or we need to transfer some type of a data that is traveling from the one source to another part, but in a different format way. So when we need to assign a value of one data type to the another, the two types must be compatible with each other. Okay, so if that particular data types are compatible, then Java will perform the conversion automatically. Okay, then what will be happening, that Java will be performing the conversion automatically, known as, that is automatic type conversion. And if we if not, then they need to be casted or converted explicitly. So two types of conversions are there, as you are using so many data types in this Java language. Okay, so we are having some primitive data types in the Java language, total 8 primitive data types that we are using. So there could be a case when we need to assign some particular value or some data from one data type to the another one. At that time, matching of data should be there. Okay, so at that time, matching of that particular data type should be there. Now, how all these data types should be are matched? If we have to see that if they are compatible with each other or not. Okay, so we have to see that if two data types are compatible with each other, then only we can transfer, then we can assign that value from one data type to the another type. Okay, so if the types are compatible, then Java will automatically perform all those conversions. So that is known as a automatic type conversion. And if compatibility is not possible, but still we can explicitly just make them compatible with each other, or we can just casting all those things. Okay, so that is we can say that at that time we need a cast operator, and also we can have that particular we can convert that particular data type as a explicitly type conversion. So here two concepts are there. One is your that is a widening or automatically type conversion. So widening is what, when we go for such type of a conversion, like where the two data types are compatible and we are assigning a smaller value to the bigger data type. There is a rule for widening. Widening means automatic type conversion. So when will automatic type conversion will be there? Automatic type conversion will occur at that particular time when two data types are compatible with each other, and we are assigning a smaller data type value to the bigger data type. Okay, so now this is the, we can say that this is a series that is being followed in the case of a binding or a automatically typed conversion. Like byte can be converted to automatically converted to short may be automatically converted to int for long for float, and float for double. So that means any, if we want to compare convert to double, so any of the previous data type can be easily and automatically will be converted to the double value. Either we define it as a double value or not, but it will automatically convert all those data types that is being defined in terms of byte, short, int, or long, or float. So that can be compatible with this double. So this is regarding the widening or the automatic type conversion. Next is that we can define that we when we need to perform the explicitly, that we can say that we are having that narrowing or explicit conversion is there. Fine. So when we are following this particular part of narrowing and explicit conversion. So narrowing means when you are cutting something. Okay, when your total path you are decreasing the value of something. And explicit conversion is that you are automatically, you are not allowed to do so. By default you are not allowed to do so all these things, but you can explicitly just change the values. So if we want to assign a particular value of a larger data type to the smaller data type, so obviously there will be some type of a cropping will be there. So at that time we perform some explicit typecasting or narrowing. So where this particular case will be used, it will be used for incompatible data types. So at that particular time where my data types are not compatible with each other, at that particular time we can use this incompatible, this narrowing or explicit conversion will be there. So here what will happen, the target type specified the desired type to convert the specified value. Okay, so here we will follow a reverse pattern that we have used in the case of this widening part. So here double is being converted to float, float is being converted to long, similarly long in short and byte. So if you remember the size chart size for this particular data type, you can see that byte is having the lower size over here. And now we are want to convert this double to this float and long in short or byte. So obviously some cutting will be there, some shortening of that data will be there. Okay, so this is how we can represent the narrowing or the explicit conversion. Fine. So these are some of the basic things that we need to remember. And the last thing that is important here, that is the type promotions and expressions. So automatically type promotion is what, that like if you are working in a particular expression is something like that. that where we are using more than different type of data types, we are using different types of it. We can say that operators you are using. So while evaluating the expression, we can see that whatever the intermediate value should not exceed the range of the operands. Hence, the expression will be value may exceed the range of operands. So hence, the expression value will be promoted. So we can see that if any expression is having all this type of a data type, that byte, short, char, or char operand, so it will be automatically converted to int when we are evaluating an particular expression. Similarly, if we are having, if one operand is a long, float or double, the whole expression is promoted to long, float or double respectively. So you can see if any one of the operand, we are talking about here any one of the operand. And if we are having all this byte, short or char operand, then it will be automatically converted to the integer. So we will discuss just a little bit expression on this particular exercise later on. But meanwhile, you just understand that what is the type promotion is expression in case of Java. Next thing, topic that we will be discussing here is that we will be working on the different operators we are having. Right. So we will be discussing the different operators that we are working. So operators is also one of the important, we can say that important part of any type of a language. So that will define you that what type of your operation you can perform in that particular language. So operator in Java is a symbol that we are using to perform some particular operation. So like we are having so many operators are there. Some arithmetic operators are there, relational operators are there, assignment operators are there, bitwise operators are there. So we have a rich set of operators in case of a Java. So this operators could be unary, arithmetic, shift is there, relational operator is there, bitwise, logical, ternary, and the assignment. So these are some of the operators that are also basically available in the some basic languages like C and C++. So these are we can define all the it poses the same functioning that it has been discussing in the other languages. So again, we can just go to this particular part that how we can define that operator. So we are having this particular type of operator and what type of a category it comes and what is its precedence value. So unary operator can be postfix and the prefix too. Postfix is that when we are defining that particular operator after the expression, and prefix is that when we are defining that particular operator in the before the expression. So this is the basically precedence also. So precedence is anything that when we are having multiple type of operator in a particular expression, so which operator will work first. So that is being defined in the precedence chart. So similarly, we have a arithmetic operator is there. So arithmetic operator, again, we can have that multiplicative are there in which we can use multiplication, division, and the modular sign is there. And additive is there where we can do subtraction and the this addition part. Similarly, we are having this shift operator also. So a new type of a shift operator is added, like where we are using this 3 greater sign size. This is how somehow different in case of this Java language. Okay, so next is the relational operator. So in that relation part, we are working on this comparison relation. So relation is basically two types of relations are there. One is your comparison and another one is your equality. Okay, so these are some of the comparison operators there and equality operator is there. So either it will be equal to assigning that equal to it will compare to as that the value is equal to that particular form or it is not equal. Clear? Similarly, we have a bitwise operator that we have bitwise and bitwise exclusive or bitwise inclusive or. So again, these are some of the operators that work simultaneously. And the next part that we can have, logical operators are there, ternary operator is there, and the last is the assignment operator. So assignment operator is anything that you can equate with. So like we are having plus equal to minus equal to, these are the shorthand operator that we can use. So that is also comes under the category of the assignment operator. And here we are also defining the precedence value also. Fine. So these are some of the basic, we can say that operator types that we can have. And so these are the basic operators that we are working upon. Now the next thing, the thing that we need to explain here is that we are using these two types of a shift operator. Okay, one is with two this greatest and another one is the three this shift operator. So basically, this operator will work same if we are working for a positive number. But if we use this particular shift operator for the minus sign, negative number, then it will change its parity bit, MSB bit to the 0. Now we will be discussing later on. We will be discussing the exercise on this particular part, that how it is working on this type of operator. Okay, but meanwhile, you just remember that if you need to work on different bits, if you are working on some particular bits in case of a Java, and you need to change the parity bit here, so at that time you can use this type of operator for the negative number. Fine. So this is regarding that particular operators part that we are having. And next we are also having logical AND operator and the bitwise AND operator. Okay, so where we can use this particular part, like we can see that bitwise operator work at the bit level and it performs all the AND logical operation to each bit, while this logical operator will work on the Boolean variables only. So sometimes in exams, this type of a question may occur, that what we mean by this logical and bitwise AND. So basically, and whatever the basic function of this AND operation, it will work same in both the cases. But bitwise operates at the bit level and perform the AND logical operation to each bit. But when we are using this logical operator, so it will be operating on the Boolean values. Okay, so main difference will lies in the short circuit behavior, which means that if there are two or more conditions and which are joined by this AND sign or operator, then not all conditions are tested. So we can just like in this particular case, the second difference is that if you are using this logical AND operator, that means it will doesn't check the second condition if first condition get false. It will check only the second condition only if your first condition is the true. But in case of bitwise AND operator, always it will check the both condition, whether first condition is true or false. Clear? So you just remember this type of a meaning of this logical and the bitwise AND operator. Why so? Because in some exercise we may be getting some questions based on all these things. So or there could be some question where we need to give the output for that particular code snippet. So at that time we must remember all these conditions. Fine. So this is a logical bit operator, and we will be performing some simple exercise on this operators also. Now the next part is that now here we will start with the first program in case of a Java. Okay, because now before implementing any type of example, first of all we must start with the simple program, that how we can create a simple, we can say that a hello program in Java. So as I told you earlier also that I will be using this notepad in my case, and if you are comfortable in any other any other IDE, you can use the same. So I will be using this particular notepad only. So here we can start with. Now in case of a Java, what happened that we perform each and every operation under a particular class. So class is required in case of a Java. So we need to represent each and everything in the form of a class. So we are representing like this class. Now let's suppose I am writing the name of that class as a first program. Okay, so any program in case of a Java, we start with a class part. Okay, so we need to represent a class in order to execute any type of a code in Java. So here, what will happen that this class will be we are using this particular class keyword just to declare a class in Java. Okay, Now, the second thing is that this is the first program is the name of that particular class. Here, I will start with this particular class and I am writing like this: public static void main. Okay, this is a simple program that I am starting with, but this is the main part that we need to represent. So we are writing like this: public static void main. Now, what is this public? Public is a keyword that is that you, as you know, that this is a SS modifier. So which will represent the visibility part. So when we are representing something public, that means that is visible to all. Okay, so we need to use this public keyword over here. Again, we are having this static keyword. So what is the static? That means that if we declare any method as static, so it is known as a static method. So in my case, what I am doing, I am representing, as you know that the execution start with the main program, main method. Okay, so execution always start with the main method. So in case of a Java, what I am doing, I am representing my this main method as a static. Okay, so basic use of the static method is that there is no need to create the object to invoke the static method. Okay, so there is no need to create the object in order to invoke the static method here. Okay, so this is the main benefit of this static part. Fine. So first is the public, that we have made this particular method visible to all. Second is the static. So we are just declaring that particular main method is the static. Why so? Because then there will, as you know that we are working under this particular class. So we cannot directly use any type of a class here. But we cannot directly use any type of a class. We require a particular object in order to use a particular class. Right? But when we are representing this word as a static, that means the main advantage is that there will be no need to create the object in order to invoke that particular static method. Okay, that means this particular main method. If now what I am saying, that we don't require any object. Why so? Because I have declared this particular main method as static. Then how we can run this particular program? We are not defining any object over there. Then how we can run this particular method over here? So that is the responsibility of JVM. So this particular main method will be executed by the JVM. So it doesn't require to create an object to invoke the main method. And what will be the benefit for that? As you know that object always stores some memory. Okay, so this JVM will help us to save that particular memory. Okay, so this JVM will be having the responsibility that it will execute that static method over here. So okay, so that it will execute that static method over here without the usage of any type of a object. Fine. So here we are using this particular static here. Then we have void. Now what is this void? That is a return type of method. We are using this void with this particular method, that is main method. But void means that it doesn't return any value. So that's why we are using it as a void return. So in other languages, you have also seen that we use void main, int main is there. But for this main method, we preferably use this void return type. And main will represent the starting point of the program. So in any case where you are defining this main method, that means this is a starting point of your this program, or of the starting execution point of the program. Now what will happen under this particular main method? I am passing this argument, that is string arguments. Okay, so that is string arguments that we are passing here. Okay, now the string arguments is basically used for the command line argument. Now command line argument is such type of a thing when we are directly working on the command line. We don't require this particular complete set of code line. We will be directly working on the command line. Again, we will do this discussion in quite detail in the another part of our sessions. But meanwhile, you just understand that we are passing this argument that is string argument that is used for the command line argument. Okay. So next is the case we are representing system here. Now my program is that I just want to print a message on the screen, any type of a message, any line of a message I want to print. So for that printing of a message, what I require, that is system dot out dot and println. Okay, so that is the println. Now, what is the system? It is used to this particular line, that is system dot out dot println. Basically, we use this for the print statement. Like in case of a C, we have printf. In case of a C++, we have a cout. So in case of a Java, we use system dot out dot println. That is used to print the statement. Now here, just remember one thing. Whenever you are using everything in Java is represented with a class. So if you are using any default class that is already available in Java, it will be represented with a capital letter. So we are using system here, where system is that is a default class that is available in this Java profile. So system is a class and out is the object of the print string class. Okay, so out is being the object of the print string class that belongs to this system class. And println is the method of print string class. Fine. Println is a method, that is print line is the method of the print string class. Okay, so system is a main class and out is the object of that print string class. Fine. So print string class, out is the object, and println is the method of that another print string class. Fine. So this is how we can represent this particular that how we can just print a message in case of Java language. So again, I am writing like this: hello Java. Okay, so we can write like this: hello Java, and again we will be closing a line in case of a Java with a semicolon. Now you can see that we have one bracket for this main method. So I will be using this particular bracket in order to close this particular method. And again also we have used one class also. So I am again closing this particular class. Fine. So this is how we can use this. How this is the first program in which we are just printing that particular message in case of exam. Now what I am doing here, I am just going to save this particular program. So for this particular part, so in my case, I have stored I am storing my programs in this particular folder of Java 2021. So always remember that whenever we need to save that particular program, it should be named with the class name. Okay. If you don't want to save with the same class name, that will be fine. You can save it with another name. But at the time of the execution, you need to define that particular class in which you are using that main method. Fine. So two things that you need to remember, that you just try to save the program with the class name in which you have defined the main method. If you're not interested for that, it's fine. You can save it. You can just compile it with some another name. But at the time of the execution, you need to define that particular class, because that JVM will find that in which particular class that main method will be available. Then only it will be executing that code. Okay. So here you can see that I am using the name first program dot Java. Okay, so I am saving this particular. So next case is that this is the first program that I have developed. Now what I am doing, I need to execute all this program. So as you know that we have that various development tools are available with us, that is belong to that JDK part. If you remember in the initial lectures, we have discussed that what is JDK and JVM. If you just forget all this, you can go through all these lectures also. Okay, so but for this particular case, I can tell you that we are using two tools in case we want to run this particular program in using the this notepad. So what I am doing, I am writing like this: Java C first program dot Java. Okay, so that is Java C first program dot Java. So I have just compiled this particular part. Now you can see there is no error in this case. But one thing that I need to tell you, that when you will compile this particular program, what will happen? Your Java code, like I have given the name first program dot Java, your Java code will get compiled to the bytecode. Okay, your Java code will be compiled to your bytecode. That is, this particular dot Java extension now will be converted to the dot class part. I can show you that where you can get that particular class part. So like here, I can show you, like we are having this portion, and so okay, you can see this is was your first program dot Java that you have saved this particular file here. Okay, and this is your class file. Now let's open all these files. See, here you are having a simple notepad file will be available to us. Okay, but when I have compiled this particular part, what has happened, that it has, the compiler in case of Java has converted that Java code to the bytecode. Now this is my bytecode with the extension dot class. Now when I will open this particular bytecode, you can see, as you remember, that bytecode is represented in the hexadecimal format. So it has changed that particular form in the encrypted form. Now, if you want to run this particular program, now why we say that Java is a portable language? You can easily transfer this particular dot class file. You can easily make portable this dot class, this bytecode to any other machine, and it will be easily executed on that one. Fine. So this is the main purpose of this bytecode portion. Okay. So now moving back to our program. So again, you can see. Okay, so when I will just now I am using another tool over here, that is Java. First tool was my Java C. Now I'm using Java. So I'm representing first program like this, and I don't need to give any type of extension over here. See, the message has been printed. Fine. So this is all about that. We can say that how we can execute a particular print program, that how we can simply print a message in case of it. So for those students who are not aware with all this Java environment, I think for them, then this is a quite easy way that we can understand the same. I will just show you the PPT for the same also, that how if we want to write that particular first program. So what are the different portion that we can basic, we can say that it can just represent you all those things that I have already discussed with you, that how we can develop a simple program in case of Java. So here you can see that we have created one particular program, and now we have compiled and executed it. For compilation, we require Java C tool, and for the execution part, we require Java. Okay, so compilation flow, you can see that we are compiling this Java program using Java C tool, and Java compiler will be converted this Java code to the bytecode. Now these are some of the parameters that we have already done, that why we what are the different parameters that we use in this program. So we have clearly mentioned the purpose of this class, public static void main, and the system.out.println. Now, what will happen at the compile time, that the Java file that is compiled by the Java compiler, it is not interacting with any type of operating system. And but it is just simply converting the Java code into the bytecode. So everything that will be happening here in this particular compilation part will be occurring at the JVM portion. Okay, so it is occurring at the JVM portion. Fine. So, and what will happen at the runtime? So, if you remember that in the JVM part, we had discussed that how our program. So, what was the input to the class file? That was a bytecode. If you remember that JVM structure, if you don't remember, you can just go through again that particular lecture. That we have a bytecode as input to the class. That the class file is being inputted to the class loader. Then we can just verify that particular bytecode. Then there is the interpreter that will see for any type of a error. And finally, we are having this runtime and it will be displayed with the help of some particular hardware that is on the screen. So a class loader is a basic subsystem of JVM that is used to load class files. Class files means bytecode files. Bytecode verifier that will check the code fragment for illegal code that can violate the access right to object. And interpreter is that will read that bytecode stream and then it will exclude the exception. Okay, now these are some simple things that without discussing it on the PPT, I can directly show you on the that screen portion. Okay, so I just go again to this particular program, and here you can see that like this is a standard format in which we can write this Java program. Okay, so we can also change the sequence of this program. Like here I am representing public static void main. So I can also write like this static public void main. So I can just simply write this static public void main. Okay, so it can also work like this. Okay, similarly, we can also change the notation, subscript notation in the Java array. Okay, so we can like this is the array part that as you know that we are passing with for the command line argument, but this is the array portion that we are passing over here. Okay, so we are representing this with this bracket. That means that we are representing the array portion over there. So we can also change the subscript part here. Like I can change this part with this string portion. Okay, or I can just secondly I can just represent this string portion before this argument value, and you can write any name for the same. Okay, you can use this is any inbuilt name that preferably we use this word only, but you can give your own name also. Okay, or we can represent as previously we have defined like this, and we can represent here also. Fine. So this is how we can change the notations also in the Java array after the type, before the variable, or after the variable. Okay. So we can also define this particular. So we can also define like in case of this array part, we can also provide variable arguments to the main method by passing 3 dots. So apart from this, we can just remove this particular part and we can write like this string like this. 3 dots will be viable. Okay, so this is also one of the feature that you can change, that we can use the 3 ellipses or 3 dots for the same. Okay. Okay, so I can say that some of the ideas may be preferring this type of data. Otherwise, some of the may not preferably using this type of a variation. Okay, and the last thing is that as you know that many times we discuss that a class is always ended with a semicolon. So semicolon, having a semicolon at the end of the class is optional. Like I haven't written any type of a semicolon here. You can write it or you cannot write it. This is up to your wish. It is optional in case of a Java. Okay. So we have discussed so many that valid Java main method signatures, that these are the main method signatures that we have discussed, that we can write like this static public void main, we can write public static void mains. Okay, so this thing that we can represent. But there are some things that are invalid also. Like you cannot remove this static word from this. Okay, so you cannot remove this static keyword from this. Obviously, it will show you some particular image. And you can also not write like this, that you can, you can writing. like static, and you are removing this visibility mode, that is public. Okay, this is also the invalid part in case of Java. This also statement you cannot pass. Fine. Okay. So next thing is that, or we cannot write like this: public void static main. So like we cannot write like this: public here static, and or we cannot directly mention this static with this main. This is also your illegal statements. Okay, so this is also one of your illegal statement that we are having. Fine. And these are were some of the things that I have discussed with you. That is how we can write the invalid, what are the invalid Java main methods in nature, and what are the valid Java main methods in nature. So everything I have defined in the PPT also. So you just go through that particular PPT while writing for the first program in case of Java, because that will help you out in just remembering all those signatures that we can use. Okay, so that can just help you noting out all those things. So this is the main thing that we have to discuss in this particular session. So we have undergone that what are the different data types that we may have, and the second part that we have discussed that what are the different operators, and the third portion we have defined that what are the different types of how we can develop a simple program in Java. So this was the main example for today. Okay, thank you, student. Thank you very much. I think this is enough for today's session.